Are you tired of never being able to find the right one for you? If you have commitment issues or are never satisfied with your sensitivity, then this guide on finding your perfect sensitivity is just for you. When thinking about aiming, sensitivity is the most crucial aspect of it, and finding the right one for you can be overwhelming at first, but it is essential. So that's why today we will be breaking down everything you need to know about sensitivity, from its importance to how to find your perfect sens, and even whether or not you should ever change it. We will also discuss what is the best way to build consistency in your aim. And then, by the time this video is over, you will know everything you need to know to find the perfect sensitivity for you. And for everything else you need to climb ranks and improve fast, there's SkillCapped.com. We take the highest priority skills to climb ranks fast, such as aiming, and then break it down into a step-by-step course that's easy to understand. You'll not only learn the basics such as crosshair placement and clearing angles properly, but also more advanced concepts like getting more multi-kills and repositioning. These courses have been getting 5-star ratings from users just like you, raving at how helpful they are. That's not all though, as every week we release 6 brand new VOD reviews where Radiant coaches teach you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck. And if you're looking for more personal instead, then we got you covered with our new one-on-one coaching at our SkillCapped Discord. All of this seemed too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Alright, now let's get into today's guide. Finding the perfect sensitivity for you is pivotal. Whether you're just starting in Valorant or you've already spent a lot of time in the game and have bigger aspirations like dethroning our king Tens. Another reason finding the best sensitivity is necessary is because once you find the right one, it's very easy to start building consistency in your Valorant gameplay. This guide will be helping you do just that by finding your perfect sensitivity, which might seem a bit overwhelming at first, but I can assure you it will be made simple, and the age-old question of should I ever change my sensitivity will be answered right after we help you find the sensitivity that is best for you. Before we get into anything, we need to talk about eDPI and how to find your eDPI, as it's the easiest way to calculate sensitivity between people who have different DPIs and sensitivities to compare. If you do not know what DPI is or how to find out what your DPI is, you can check the software for your mouse and it should have it there. The most common DPIs you will see are 400, 800, and 1600. This leads us to finding your eDPI, and this is extremely simple. All you need to do is multiply your DPI by your in-game sensitivity, and that number is your eDPI. For example, I play on 800 DPI with a 0.26 sensitivity. Multiplying that together would give me an eDPI of 208. Now that you understand eDPI, I would like to mention that the average eDPI of Valorant Pro players is 277, and this number will be a good baseline for us to use when finding the perfect sensitivity for you a bit later in this video. Next, let's talk about high sensitivities versus low sensitivities. High sensitivity versus low sensitivity is a debate as old as FPS games. The answer to this can be simple, and I'll try my best to break it down for you. High sensitivity can be beneficial for players who excel at fast movements and have quick reaction times. Also, because of the sensitivity being high, you use a lot of wrist movements rather than arm movements. High sensitivity can be beneficial if you play agents like Jet or Raze, as they require lots of hasty movements you would not be able to pull off if you played on an extremely low sensitivity. Whereas, when you use low sensitivity, you need lots of arm movement and mousepad space. But this also benefits precision and accuracy, since utilizing your arm to aim gives you a lot more control over your mouse and leads to far more precise movements that you would not get with wrist movements, which are generally utilized with higher sensitivities. For the average player, low sensitivity is ideal because it promotes accuracy and consistency in aim. However, if you are in a situation where you do not have a lot of desk space, you will most likely need to have a sensitivity on the higher end. In continuation, both high sensitivity and low sensitivity have their respective icons as far as people who use them. As far as players who use high sensitivity go, one of the most notable is Paper Rex player Forsaken. He plays at 0.712 sensitivity and 800 DPI, which comes out to a 569.6 eDPI. This is a really high sensitivity, as the most common eDPIs tend to sit between 2 to 400. As for low sensitivity, one player known notoriously for his low sensitivity is Leaf from Cloud9's Valorant roster. He plays at 0.23 sensitivity and 800 DPI, which is 184 eDPI. It's clear to see that both high and low sensitivity have their professional representation in Valorant, and are both viable, as both these players have excelled in Valorant's professional scene. If you're curious about whether you should play on low or high sensitivity, I would always recommend a lower sensitivity. Lower sensitivities for the average player is simply easier to control, and arm movements are a lot more accurate than wrist movements, so this makes it easier to be more precise. Finding your sensitivity can be really simple, and this is the method I would recommend for beginners to Valorant. The average eDPI of a professional Valorant player is 277. This would come out to about 0.70 in game sensitivity at 400 DPI, or 0.35 sensitivity at 800 DPI, or 0.175 sensitivity at 1600 DPI. We can use any of these sensitivities as a baseline to start finding your perfect sensitivity. After making this your sensitivity, I would go into the range in Valorant and shoot around at the bots. If you notice you're constantly over-flicking or under-flicking, I would use the small adjustment buttons in the range below the practice button to slightly increase or decrease your sensitivity. Be sure to press the smaller buttons to adjust sensitivity because these will lower or higher it by 0.01, and the bigger buttons will lower or higher by 0.1, which you want to avoid. One rule you should also keep in mind when finding a sensitivity is that you should always at least be able to do a 180 in-game with the amount of mousepad space you have available. Not being able to do a 180 could lead to you not being able to flick to enemies in certain situations, and that is something you want to avoid. I would continue adjusting your sensitivities using this method until you notice you're not over-flicking or under-flicking anymore, and once you find a sensitivity that feels comfortable to you, you should try to keep that one and practice using it. If you've been playing Valorant for a while, you probably have found a sensitivity you are already somewhat comfortable with, but may not think is the right one for you. For this, I would recommend just slightly adjusting your sensitivity higher or lower until you feel a change for the better. If you aren't comfortable with your current sensitivity, I would recommend trying the method we talked about earlier, and then on top of that, you should begin looking for inconsistencies in your aim, which may be easily solved by just increasing or decreasing your sensitivity slightly. I would recommend looking for inconsistencies and slightly adjusting your sensitivity to get to the point you want to be at. Something else to take into account when doing this is the amount of time you have had your sensitivity for. If you have not had the same sensitivity for very long, you will probably see a lot of inconsistencies with yourself using it. I would try to keep the same sensitivity for at least a couple of weeks before trying to change it again. You want to allow yourself time to get comfortable on a sensitivity because it builds muscle memory, which leads to consistency. One thing you do have to keep in mind while doing this is that you will have off days when playing Valorant. So I would recommend not changing your sensitivity on a whim or if you're just having a bad day. I would only make the decision to change your sensitivity if you notice issues over a long period of time, probably over a couple weeks or more. Now, if you're really looking to take a deep dive into further min-maxing your sensitivity, I would do everything talked about before this, but add another layer in. Recording your games and watching them over can be very effective when it comes to seeing issues with your sensitivity. When doing this, you should be watching how you aim and looking for common inconsistencies like before, but this is much easier to do while you're solely focused on just watching your game rather than looking for things like this while in-game. Just as before, really watch your crosshair and look for if you have the same problem repeatedly, like over-flicking and under-flicking. These issues can be solved just by raising or lowering your Sens slightly in most cases. Reviewing your own games like this can be very beneficial to not only min-maxing your sensitivity, but also for other parts of your game as well. This is a good time to just improve at Valorant in general while you're doing this. Another tactic you can use to min-max your sensitivity could be understanding the agents you play. If you never play agents like Jett, Raze, or Neon, you can get away with using a lower sensitivity as a Sentinel main, since you don't need to move your crosshair the insane amount a Jett or Raze player needs to. Now that you've found the best sensitivity for you, should you ever change it? The answer to this question is no. You will have off days, but you should try not to blame these days on your sensitivity, as keeping the same sensitivity will build muscle memory with that sensitivity while also leading to building consistency, while changing it will lead to inconsistencies. A couple things you can do to get used to your new sensitivity is to use the range a lot and deathmatch. These are really good things you can do to get used to your new sensitivity. Some exceptions to never changing your sensitivity could be if you were to get a new setup and have a different amount of mouse space, or if you get a new mouse and the mouse is lighter or heavier than your last one. The same sensitivity may just not feel right anymore, and for that problem, I would recommend coming back to this guide and going through the steps again. This was just a glimpse of what we have to offer though. Over at SkillCapped, we've got you covered with dozens of tailor-made courses that will teach you everything you need to know about climbing in Valorant. We'll teach you everything you need to know about mastering your mechanics so that you can start playing at an immortal level in no time. Along with this, we also upload tons of VOD reviews each week that our coaches record from looking at players just like you. So rather than just paying for one $200 coaching session on another platform, you can get access to hundreds of sessions for just a few bucks. Not only that, but our coaches are also at the ready in our Discord to take a look at your gameplay and tell you exactly what your issues are, if by chance you don't find value from all the other things we offer on our site. Use the link below for a discount link your purchase today, and other than that, we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.